vegan, the carnivore. There's so much confusion out there, Yes, go ahead, try it. If it works for you, great. But if you're just doing it just to lose weight, that's not the right diet for you. Hey, if you want to heal your body naturally, lose that toxic weight and transform your mind so that weight never comes back, I want to invite you to join my Mind Body Boss mentorship program, where I use my proven formula to help you achieve that. Click on the link in the description to learn more. See you on the inside. Welcome, Jason Gutzel.
Thanks for having us, Monika. How we doing?
So we did a podcast back in March, or no, maybe it was back in May.
Yeah, it was.
And so this is Jason's second time visiting the Superior Mind Body Health podcast. So thank you for being here. If you haven't listened to the episode from last time, I highly encourage you to listen to it. It was a really good one. We talked about how to harness the power of fasting to optimize your health and well-being. And this week we were chatting on the phone, and we were just kind of talking about different things, and this topic came up, and it's the topic of fitting in fasting into your lifestyle. And we were just kind of chatting and said, we need to do an episode on this, because this happens, like your clients and my clients, we get a lot of questions about it. So I know that you do a really great job of fitting in fasting into your lifestyle, which is pretty busy. And so can you share a little bit about how do you fit in fasting into your lifestyle, your daily lifestyle?
So for me, it all depends on what my lifestyle is at the time. Right now, I am working full time, kind of 9 to 5. I'm also working on my business as well, which I'm working all sorts of hours. I work lunch breaks. I work on the morning before work. I work some time on a night.
Sorry, my cat is eating my flower over here. He always tries to eat my flowers. Get out of here. Oh my gosh.
Do you know what it is? She knows you're on a podcast. So she's like, it is. I'm going to get involved.
He does that every time, and he always tries to eat my flowers or my plants. So I apologize. If you're watching this on YouTube, definitely check out the crazy cat that always shows up. His name is Lex. Sorry to interrupt.
It's fine. It's absolutely fine. So yeah, a bit about me and my lifestyle. So I work full time. I work as an IT engineer, as a systems engineer, but also a fasting coach, and also have a business around fasting. Currently building a platform, doing some really cool things with it. And yeah, I managed to fit fasting in depending on my lifestyle. Sometimes my lifestyle can be working away from home. Sometimes it's working at home, but it's working 2 jobs. It's coaching clients. I'm also a calisthenics athlete as well, so I do a lot of training as well. And I have to fit the fasting around my lifestyle so that I can get enough work done, that I'm able to eat. I'm able to eat enough food when I do eat, and also eat enough so that it fuels kind of my workouts, because I work out probably 5-6 times a week also. And yeah, there's been times where I've worked away from home, where I've lived in hotels where I don't have access to a kitchen. And for me, I believe it doesn't matter what lifestyle you have, you can fit fasting to fit that lifestyle. And it could mean that, I don't know, for example, let's say that you're a single parent and you have the kids 3 or 4 nights a week. You might choose not to fast on those days, but on the other days you might choose to fast, whatever makes sense, whatever fits around your lifestyle. And when I say fit around your lifestyle, you've got to take into consideration commitments, or family commitments, work commitments, training commitments, anything else that you've got going on in life. And also, as well as that, you've got to think about your social life as well. It's for this to be sustainable, you've got to fit it in. And sometimes you have social events. I know we were talking about. So last week you were away doing some voluntary work, and
Yes.
you took the opportunity then because you were having meals with people and stuff, and chose the opportunity then. Okay, it didn't make sense for me to fast at this point in my life, and then when you came back, you get back to your kind of your fasting routine. And the same for me. Last week I went to a works event, and I also had a drink, which I don't really drink that much, but I chose to be very social that day. There was food throughout the day, on the evening, and I thought everything's kind of paid for. I'm not going to waste this. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to be
Yeah.
social. I'm going to have a few drinks of wine. I'm going to, have whatever food was on the menu, and I really enjoyed myself. And then, the next day, got back to my fasting, and it's kind of you got to think that I try to think it's I used to be a person who was all or nothing, and it was either this or it was that. Which will lead us on to the second part of what we were going to discuss, which I'll bring up shortly. But it's kind of like you've got to understand this is a lifestyle, and if you want it to be sustainable, you don't need to be all or nothing. You can have times where you're not fasting. You can have days where maybe you're not eating the foods that you would normally eat. You're not 100% fully, whole foods, clean all the time. Because when you're kind of very, very regimented with it, I mean, you've got to try and be as consistent as you can, but understand you've got to have flexibility. You've got to recognize that there'll be social events, things you don't want to miss out on, and like I say, everybody's lifestyle is different. Your lifestyle is different to mine. You've got different people have different commitments to me. I don't have kids, but I work full time. I have a business, and I'm also an athlete. So I fit what works best for me. And that's what I would try. The message is to try and just figure out what works for you. And sometimes it takes a little bit of an experiment also. Yeah.
Yeah, you make some really good points. Because when I first started getting into the fasting lifestyle, I was very like strict, like, no, I have to fast from here to here, from this day to this day. And if something happened in my life, or there was a dinner or something I was supposed to go, like I would not go to those dinners because like, no, I'm fasting. And that actually created more issues and stressed me out. And like you mentioned, last week I was out of the country on a mission trip, and I wasn't sure what I'm gonna do. I didn't plan like too much about it. I just decided I'm gonna go with the flow and see what feels right at the moment. And what felt right to me last week was having breakfast and dinners with all the volunteers. Like I enjoyed that camaraderie, and I just ate. It was fine. I didn't fast at all last week, but when I came back home, I was like, I'm ready. I'm ready to get back into it. But that's the thing. It's like people get so stuck on like, okay, I have to fast, every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or every this and that. Like, and if anything comes in during those days, they get like super stressed out. If you go on vacation, you know what? I mean, if you want to eat breakfast some days, great. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, don't stress yourself out about it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just do what feels right at the moment. I mean, I'm not saying like go and pig out all day because you're gonna feel terrible, but just do what feels right for you at the moment. Everyone's different. Like you and I can't give someone the answer like how and what you should eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you have to figure out like exactly like what is it that fits into your lifestyle, and choose to do that. Don't make it stressful because it's not supposed to be. And if you make it stressful, you're not gonna want to fast. You're gonna
No.
dread fasting. And I've done that. I'm like, oh God, Sunday, because I used to do every Sunday through Wednesday, I would fast. And there would be some days where there's work events or things that you want to go out on a date or this, and
Mm-hmm.
you're like, no, I can't. Tuesday I cannot go on a date. I would plan my dates around the days I was fasting, and
I
I
can
was like,
completely relate to that.
Right. And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
gosh, like, no, if it feels right, you do it. You go and eat. If you don't want to, that's fine too. But don't stop living your life because you're fasting.
Exactly. And just something you touched on when you're away on holiday and maybe you want to have like, especially if you're on all inclusive or if you're on half board or whatever,
Mhm.
and you've got the breakfast buffet, why would you want to not have the food that's included in your holiday? And for me, what I kind of do then is I would again I for me, I've been doing this for a lot of years and I've experienced different things. I've fell off the wagons, so to speak. You know, I didn't. I'm. I might be on holiday and I didn't do the fast that day. So do you know what it is?
Mhm.
I'm just gonna write the full week off. And something I realized is you can just figure out what's coming up in your life and think, okay, how can I shape this around this lifestyle? So for this week, I'm living a completely different lifestyle to a normal lifestyle. And
Mhm.
for me, if I've got free food there, I'm going to usually take advantage of it. But what I would do is I'd maybe skip lunch, or I would have breakfast and lunch, and I wouldn't have dinner. So I would just kind of shape it around what's happening at the time. And sometimes when you're away, sometimes I maybe have full days where I would eat, but then I also have a rule, and this is just for myself. A rule for me is if I go 3 days where I haven't put a fast in at all, then I make sure I do at least a 20-hour fast. And it's just kind of a reset for me because sometimes I feel um, which I have experienced, is 3 days can turn into five, five turns into seven, seven turns into 2 weeks, and 2 weeks turns into a month. And before you know it, it's harder to get back to
Mhm.
it. So kind of just a little bit of I don't know, maybe a tip is just have a think, maybe if you are going on holiday, okay, how could I still implement a little bit of fasting, but still enjoy everything that I'm doing on holiday? And it just makes things easier. So like when you come back off holiday, you're able to just go straight back into what you were doing previously. It's something that I've definitely experienced a few times with work, not just holiday, but working away from home. When you work away and the company's paying for all your food, your breakfast is included in the hotel. There's a nice buffet of breakfast. They've got everything there. Why wouldn't you want to take advantage of that? So again, just having the balance, fitting it to your lifestyle, and understand that your lifestyle's never just your lifestyle's never just set. It's not just one set lifestyle. Our lifestyle kind of changes. Um, but yeah, certainly just being aware of that, I would say kind of helps.
Yeah, I agree with you. So what is your current routine? Like, I mean, I know we all stray from our routines, but like, do you have like a specific routine? Like, I know every so often you do like a 3-day fast,
Yeah.
to kind of reset your immune system, your whole body. And then during the week you throw in a longer, like a 20-hour fast here and there.
So for me, my how I kind of thrive, and what fits very well with my routine, with my work, training, and everything. Fasting pretty much Monday to Friday. I do 20 hours. 20. It's usually around 22 hours, and I'll work throughout the day, finish work, then I train, then I break my fast, usually between 7 and 8 p.m., and have an hour or two eating window. Sometimes that ends up being a bit early, if I'm not training that day, and my body's saying, you know what it is, we want to eat a little bit more food today. So I have a bigger eating window. Um, and yeah, on a weekend, I'm fairly flexible with it. So I do a big training session on a Saturday morning. I train for nearly 3 or 4 hours in total. And what I will do after that, I'll have a 6 to 8 hour eating window. Sunday, I will go on how I feel. So if the training session on the Saturday was really hard, usually Sunday I'm a little bit more hungry. I'll probably go till 12 o'clock. I'll start eating at 12 and then I'll stop eating at like 8 p.m. So I have an 8 hour eating window. But sometimes that Sunday, maybe I'm busy doing things and maybe I don't feel as hungry and I can still fast for up to 18 to 20 hours. Sometimes uh, I don't have, while I do have this kind of bit of a structure throughout the week, today, I knew I was doing this podcast tonight. And so I broke my fast earlier because I didn't want to. rush my food eating and then have the, when you eat a big meal also, because I fast all day, so I do eat a lot in my short amount of time, which you've probably seen, Monica.
Yeah.
But I don't want to eat, I didn't want to eat that big meal and then an hour later sit here and try and have a conversation.
Mhm.
So in my mind, I was like, okay, I've got this on tonight, so I'm going to break my fast earlier. I broke my fast earlier in the day, and now I'm ready. Like I'm raring to go. I'm ready for this, So again, just being aware of what's coming up in your life and not getting thrown off by it, but just saying, hold on a second, what can I do today to fit this around my lifestyle? And for me, it's break my fast earlier, eat earlier, get everything done, and now I'm here chatting to you on this podcast. So yeah.
Well, and I also get the other side of this when, I've had some clients say to me, well, if I don't have a structure, I will kind of fall into whatever happens. So, if you fit in that category where, you go to work and you see donuts and you're just going to eat it, like that, of course, we're not saying just do that, right? But like if there's events in your life or like you have a podcast or you're doing something, like change it based on that, but don't just like, let's say you plan to fast for 20 hours and there's donuts at work and you're like, oh, I feel like eating donuts, because that's also like a temptation. So,
Yeah, it
and I've
is.
had people say, well, I can't do that because, I have to have a structure because otherwise I'll just cave if I'm just like, oh, whatever happens today. So we're not saying that we can just,
No, I'm not saying. I definitely do have structure, 1,000,000%. I have structure because Monday to Friday, like I say, it's pretty much like clockwork.
yeah.
It's just when things come up like this podcast, I was like, well, I want to eat just before, and then so I'm going to just fast. I'm just going to break my fast earlier, and it's not to say that, oh well, like you say, oh, I say the donuts at work, so I'm just gonna have a donut and I'm fit and fasting to fit my lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's not just an excuse,
Yeah, that's
Still
not
have
what we're
structure.
saying. Yeah, no, don't take it
You
the wrong
still,
way. Well, Monika and Jason said, just let it, whatever happens during the day, just let it fit in. If there's a donut looking at you and calling your name, just have it. No, we're not saying that. We're just,
no, definitely not.
yeah,
If you really need to have the donut, take the donut home, and
yeah,
have it in your eating window. But I would certainly be trying to leave the donuts alone. If you're somebody who gets tempted like that, I certainly was. I've worked in offices all my life. I know what it's like. There's always food on the go. It's always somebody's birthday. There's always cakes. There's always
yes.
something, and it's quite hard to say no at first. But once you do that a couple of times, it's like, actually, I don't
Hmm.
really need that.
And
Uh,
just because something is free doesn't mean you need to eat it, like
doesn't.
that $10, it's gonna cost you, that free $10 is gonna cost you a lot more when it hits your hips and you're gonna feel it the next day or your stomach.
Definitely.
So yeah, I think we're talking more about just the overall like lifestyle, don't make it so strict where you are resenting fasting. Make it exciting. And if there is something coming up with your kids or your family, or you enjoy having dinner with your wife or your husband and the kids, and that means a lot, then for all means, like do it, because that is important. That is important in your
It is.
life and your lifestyle. And you know, if you constantly like not eat and watch the kids eat, they're gonna be wondering like, what's wrong? Like, why is mommy not eating? you know.
Hmm.
So yeah. Um, for like another thing that I found, and I know you work from home a lot, and then some then you train a lot too, but what I found as well is that fasting saves me so much time. Like I haven't eaten yet today, and I mean, it's like an afternoon here in Nashville. It's 3 p.m. and I went to the gym. I did lots of chores and things, and I'm just gonna have dinner tonight. I don't have to worry about going to find something to eat, or it just it simplifies my life so much and saves me so much time. Do you find that
A
also?
million, a 1,000,000%, because that's the reason I choose to fast all day. I'm so productive. I have a lot of focus, a lot of mental clarity. When I recognize if I have breakfast at the normal time on a morning when I wake, I'm nowhere near as productive. Blood sugar levels go up, and then they go
Mm-hmm.
down, and you're feeling a little bit tired and stuff. And it's, even I feel when I'm running on carbohydrates, anyways, I do feel a little bit tired when you get used to fasting this much. You end up tapping into fat stores easier, and when you're running off ketones, your brain runs better off them, pretty much. And there's other things involved, that gives you mental clarity, throughout the fast. And I feel like I can get a lot done. I can do everything. So walk the dog in the morning, and then I go for a sauna steam room. Then I come back, I work all day up until 5 o'clock. I go to the gym, I
Mm-hmm.
finish the gym, and then I have my food. And the same, I don't have to spend time making breakfast on a morning. I don't have to go out and get lunch. I don't have to be like, even when I was at work living in London, I don't have to be standing, in Starbucks on the morning getting my breakfast or whatever it is. I'm like, I'm saving so much time. So on my lunch breaks, I'm working on my projects, or I'm listening to an audio, or now because I work from home, I take the dog out, so you can get a lot more done. You save a lot more time. I'm probably saving on the average day at least an hour and a half, 2 hours over the
Mm-hmm.
over the the normal person, and all those hours add up. And if you put that into something like a business or a side project or something like that, it can make a lot of difference in your life. Or even just doing a little bit of training on your lunch break or going for a walk. And I'm not saying to go and fast all day, but this is just my lifestyle. And
Mm-hmm.
um, that's kind of where it's getting to at the minute. And I'm just super productive. I can get a lot done. I can train. And then, once I've done everything for the day, I sit down and I have a feast. And I really, really enjoy that. I don't have to think about anything else. I'm sitting there and really enjoying my food.
And I've
Uh,
seen you post a lot of the videos of you cooking the food, and it looks always amazing. I'm like, man, he can cook. So it's like it's fun that then you can have like time to actually spend the time to cook something yummy and not just run out to a fast food restaurant to get something
mhm,
quick to eat because it's the time to eat. And I'm doing quotation marks. It's like we're so conditioned to the societal norms, like, oh, it's 11 o'clock, we have to eat now, it's lunchtime. Like
mhm.
it's just so crazy. So you don't do this, you don't fast for weight loss, really. I mean, you're fit, like your body fat percentage is probably like really, really low. So you're not doing this to necessarily lose weight. You're doing this to improve your, like you said, your mental focus, your clarity, save you time when you're working or doing
Hmm.
stuff. So it's kind of nice to see that side, because a lot of times we just see like people fast because of weight loss, but
And
it's
that's
nice.
the exact. So keeping in shape is actually just a side effect now. Many years ago, when I first started fasting, it was once a week, and it was to kind of help keep me in shape. I was testing, seeing what it was all about. But now it's so many. There's so many benefits. The main benefit for me is longevity. So I want to
Mm.
live a long life, and I
What do you
think
want to live up to? What's your goal?
it's over 111.
Wow, that's
Uh-huh.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
speaking of that, what are we doing? How do you, other than fasting, what else are you doing to
So I
make that
eat.
happen?
So I cook everything from scratch, pretty much. I
So whole
rarely eat
foods,
whole
whole
foods. Whole
foods.
foods. I eat meat. I eat fish. I eat plenty of fruit, plenty of vegetables. Good fats such as extra good quality extra virgin olive oil, cooking coconut oil. And I believe with food and fasting that like I've metabolically reversed my age. I've got stats there to prove it. I'm younger than I am. And I've seen it with clients. They've knocked 10 years off in 10 years in the metabolic age in
Mhm.
like 3 months. And the proof is the proof is in the pudding, really. So I also do, you know, I, I practice a lot of mindset stuff, I would say, but kind of naturally. I don't get stressed out a lot. Very very rarely would I react to anything. And that's a
Stress
big thing.
stress is a big culprit as far
It
as like
is.
aging. It really is. Yeah.
Also, I'm a member at a spa. I go to the gym. I'm a member at a spa though. I go for a sauna and steam room and a cold
Mm.
plunge every morning. Sometimes I go in the night. I've already been tonight as well. And um, hot and cold and fasting is good for, it's kind of, it's the good stress on the body. It's
Mhm.
the good stress on the cells, and it makes the cells resilient as well. So I truly believe, and it's not, it's what you think as well. If you think I'm going to die at 65-year-old, you probably are going to die at 65-year-old. If you've got a goal to live to over 100, guarantee you're going to live. You're not guaranteed, but you've got a better chance if you are putting all these other practices into play. Eating a good diet, trying to live stress free.
It's really not that hard. And I wish I knew all these little tips and tricks in like in my 20s. I didn't learn this stuff till like my mid 30s. But since I've learned that, I can definitely see like seeing pictures before, especially when I was like 60 pounds heavier, the difference in like my skin and my age. Like I feel like I'm aging backwards and I'm enjoying it.
I truly believe that I am. I mean, you only have to look at some of the like the stuff that I'm doing with calisthenics over this past few years.
Hmm.
And yes, I've put a lot of work into it, but I feel younger when I'm training. I'm getting stronger. I'm more flexible. More mobility. I do not feel like I'm aging. I don't feel like I'm aging at all at the minute.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I truly believe I will get to that age. It's not a joke. And the funny thing was
I'm
is
with you. We're gonna be the only ones, 111 year
I,
olds.
I had this goal before I even got into fasting. Because I was born in 1990, I want to live in three different centuries, and to be 111, I'll live in three different centuries. And funny enough, like 10 years later, now or even probably more than 10 years now, I'm like doing all this fasting and all this healthy lifestyle, and yeah, I've got absolutely no doubt that I'll be living to that age.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How do you and I'm sure you have a lot of clients that primarily fast for weight loss. How do you convince them, or maybe not so convince them, but how do you show them that fasting is like the weight loss is a side effect? It's not really, it shouldn't be primary reason. Like if you fast to detox and to be healthy and keep your body at the optimal health, the weight is going to come off.
It is. So I always say, if you feel good, then your body's going to respond, and that response would be getting in shape. If you're fasting and you're eating well, you're not under eating as well, which a lot of people do, which is one of the big things that people do wrong. They go on a major calorie deficit, they fast for long hours, they mess up their
Mhm.
metabolism, they start to resent it, and then they stop even losing weight. For
Yeah.
me, I try and get clients to eat as much as they can in their eating window. And then what we do, we kind of monitor it. And, if for me, I do educate them about the other things of fasting, the autophagy,
Mhm. And
the
for those
energy.
who don't know what autophagy is, can you explain that?
Sorry.
For those who don't know what autophagy is, can you explain that?
Yes. So it's when we're not eating, our cells kind of look to see what they can use up to regenerate themselves, and they'll look at all the damaged components of the cell, and they'll kind of start to recycle them, and they get rid of toxins, cell debris, and they will recycle the cells into new cells.
Mhm.
And at the same time, your growth hormone increases as well, which is your youth hormone, which is it's actually you use it to build up your cells as well. So again, that's where the reversing the aging comes in as well, with the growth hormone, with the autophagy. So yeah, it's your body's cells way of to recycle them, doing the recycling, basically, clearing out all the trash and
Yes.
recycling all the materials that they can still use into new cells. to put it in simple terms.
Yeah, and then, that's really important too for like cancer prevention. A lot of times we're so toxic and we don't really allow our bodies to really heal and fix itself. So you have all these, old mitochondria, old cells that they can turn into cancer cells. So that's another really important thing to remember, is not just just detox, but prevention, like cancer prevention, disease prevention. And disease is dis-ease,
This
something
is,
that, yeah, it's something that's not in a
your body's not at ease, basically. Your body's not
exactly.
at ease. It's not in homeostasis. There's something up.
Yeah,
And yeah.
yeah, it's very, very interesting. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I do find that a lot. Like I have, I would say 90% of my clients do it for weight loss. And initially it's very hard to get them motivated to think otherwise. Like if you heal your body, like I just need to lose the weight. And I get it, because I was the same way. And when I lost the weight and understood like how much better I feel because I healed the insides, not just because I lost the weight, it's because I healed. It wasn't just like another diet. Like I've done keto before, I've done all these different diets, and I didn't feel any better. I lost weight, but I felt like crap. With fasting, when I lost the weight, something shifted inside. I don't know if it's like in my mind or just overall well-being. And I just, that's when it hit me. I was like, oh, that's what it feels like to feel amazing. Yeah.
One of my clients said the other week, he said, he feels like he's found the cheat code to life. He's went through so much of a transformation, like mentally, emotionally, spiritually. He's like, he just said, I can't believe, like, you can't believe how good he feels from it. And
Yeah.
somebody else I was speaking to not long ago mentioned something which I've said before, is you don't know how good you don't feel. You only know how, if you've never tried, like, if you're living a lifestyle that's basically like this, for you, that could be your 100%.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never implemented fasting or healthy eating or exercise or training, you don't know what level you can get to. And
Mm.
and once you kind of experience that, and it sounds like that's what you experienced, Monika, when you've kind of went through the fasting, and you experience that, you're like, wow,
Yeah.
this is something else. It's not just about weight loss. It's like, it's literally healing yourself from the inside out, and just feeling, you feel amazing. Like I'm bouncing off the walls, 24/7. I feel really good. I'm happy. Don't get stressed, and I feel, I also feel that because I do have times where, things aren't going great, and I haven't been a fast, it's not that often that it happens now, but it's happened over the years.
Yeah.
And I always feel like when my fasting's going right, everything else follows.
Mm.
Everything else in my life just follows. I feel amazing. My training's amazing. My food's amazing. My mentality is amazing.
It's
Yeah,
even like an antidepressant, anti-anxiety. It's all of it to me.
it
It
is.
really is. It's not just like weight loss or just mindset I mean, it really has shifted every part in my life. And even just like a simple thing of like, people get so stressed out when they, can't get food or they're flying somewhere. Like when I fly, I fast. I actually always fast when I'm flying, because that actually helps to protect your cells from that radiation when you're on the plane, the electromagnetic field. And it's so easy because I don't have to worry about getting, junk food or crappy food at the airports. And it's really just kind of simplified my life. It's incredible. I mean, I wish I had known this in my 20s, because it would have been a truly transformational thing for my whole life. But it's never too late. Everything comes
It's
into your
never.
life when you're ready. It's when it's the right timing for you. Because maybe in my 20s, I would overuse it. Maybe I would use it in an unhealthy way. Maybe I would create like eating disorders, because that's something, we have to be careful too with fasting. People do have a lot of eating disorders, and that can actually even make it worse if you are not healthy. I mean, anorexia or bulimia or anything like that, you really have to be careful and consult your physician. Of course, this brings me back to, like, everything we talk about here is our experience. This is not in any way medical advice, because everyone is different. And before you start fasting, you should talk to a qualified physician that takes care of you and your own health, because everyone is different. If people are on medications or they have like eating disorders, that changes the course. Not everyone can fast. It is not for everyone.
No, I completely agree. Yeah. This is just, like you said, our experience. It's not medical, not nutritional advice. People were like, when I'd done a 3-day fast a couple of weeks ago, they messaged me and like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do that. I'm like, you don't just see me and just have to want to do this. When I first started fasting, I'd done a 16-8 method for 4 years, and that's eating in an 8-hour window, fasting for 16 hours, pretty much skipping breakfast. And I'd done that for 4 years before I moved on to anything else. You don't need to rush through this. If you do get into the lifestyle, you'll find your own way with it. And when the time's right, you might want to do a longer fast. Don't just think because somebody else is doing it, a 36-hour or 48-hour fast, that your ego kicks in. You're like, no, I can do this, because what will happen is you'll find it really hard. You might end up not being able to do it. And then you'll say, do you know what it is? It was too hard. I'm not doing that fasting again. It was too hard. Now, if you just start small and, work your way up to things, like I always say this to my clients as well, is fasting's like a muscle. So you go into the gym, you don't just go and pick up the big weights. You don't just start going and squatting 150, 200 kilos. You start at a weight that you can comfortably lift, with good form.
Absolutely.
And then you progress a bit by bit when you're ready, and it's the same with fasting. You don't just go jumping into 2-3 day fasts. I believe that you should get a little bit of practice with the shorter fasts. When you feel ready, then you can start closing down the eating window, and when you do really feel ready, you might want to push on to a 24-hour fast or whatever it is. But don't just look at anybody else online, or if your friend's doing it or whoever.
Yeah, don't compare your journey to somebody else's. Like we've been doing this for years. I'm so comfortable with fasting. I don't even think about it, and it doesn't phase me. But someone that's very new, it could be a lot of stress on their body. And another thing that just comes to my mind, joining a community. I have like a fasting circle for women and people that want to be part of like a community, which helps. And then this takes me to another point. Like you've been working on an app that also create like a community and a support to people that want to fast and want to incorporate fasting into their lifestyle, because there's still just so much misinformation about fasting. And people, even myself, there's not many people I talk to about fasting. There's still so much misconception, and they just don't understand.
People
And
don't
so
get it.
yeah, so having that community where people get it, they do it, and you can safely, say what you're going through, and ask questions. And I don't know if you want to touch a little bit about your app that you've been working on.
So at the minute, I've been working on a whole new style of coaching people, and it's completely fitting fasting to fit your lifestyle. And all of this will be going into an app next year. I already have, the Fasting 101 app that I created last year. But I've, through, coaching people and just learning more about the whole fasting lifestyle and everything, I've understood that no two persons' lifestyle are the same. And the way I do it with my clients now is, I take everything from their sleep, their mood, their fasting hours, what did they eat, how much did they eat, the levels of different macros. And basically I take that data and I say, okay, based on this is your first week plan. I recommend that you do, I recommend that this would fit your lifestyle, and I would give them the calorie, the macronutrient, numbers, the fats, proteins, carbs. And then what they do, they try that for a week, and then they fill out a daily check-in. So I get all of this data every day, and they do a weekly check-in, body composition stats of muscle, fat, measurements of chest, abdominal, waist. And I analyze all of this data and look for trends. And a trend could be, their mood was low on days 2 and 3, but guess what? Their calories were significantly low on those days, and they didn't have very good sleep. And what I would say is, okay, based on this first week's worth of data, these 2 days, this is what happened. Next week, let's try and do more of what worked for you. And this could be food, it could be the hours that you fast, it could be getting enough sleep. It's
So you
more of
just adjust based on, what's going on in
what,
that. Yeah.
what works. So
Mhm.
it basically is do more of what works and do less of what doesn't.
Yeah. So
It's
what is your goal of like the app when it comes out next year? Like what is your ultimate goal? I know it's still kind of in the works and you'll probably
there's
discuss more of it later, but what
yeah
is the ultimate goal?
there is just to help as many people as we can, help people find their own way with fasting, and understand more about. So this is another thing is you got many experts all over the world all saying
Mhm.
that this is the perfect diet, this is the perfect diet. To be totally honest with you, I don't believe there is a perfect diet. You've got cultures who thrive off mainly animal based diet, and you've got cultures who thrive off mainly vegetables and plant based diet. And there's so many things to think about. There's genetics, and there's we live in such a multicultural world, where there's mixed gene pools and everything, and it's like no two-person are the same, and no two persons, like some people respond better off having a carbohydrate dominant diet compared to a fat dominant diet. Some people thrive off having more meat, some people thrive off having more plants. And I think it's more about understanding,
Mhm.
helping people understand what works for them,
For them,
not
absolutely.
just
Yeah.
fitting fast into fit your lifestyle, but understanding, okay, what foods actually work for me,
Mhm.
what times work for me. Some people some people's sleep, they might get better sleep through having a break in their fast earlier in the day. Some people might have the majority of their food on a night, and it helps them wind down and actually helps them sleep, and which I've seen with clients and myself. And it's about just understanding, um, some people train better on certain foods. Some people train better without food, and it's what I really want to kind of help people do is just figure out this whole thing for them, figure out this whole lifestyle, not in terms of just fasting, but food, sleep, exercise, everything, basically a lifestyle, and just help people live longer, he'll live more fulfilling lives. Yeah.
We need to create like a group for the people that want to live to their above the hundreds. And that's an idea. Let's create like a
It
club,
is.
let's live to 111, whatever it is. Yeah. I mean, but I like that. I like
Yeah.
that it's not a cookie cutter approach. And I've never been a cookie cutter approach, like, because I know one thing works for whether it's diet, like you mentioned, the vegan, the carnivore, there's so much confusion out there. Yes, go ahead, try it. If it works for you, great. But if you're just doing it just to lose weight,
Mm-hmm.
that's not the right diet for you.
It's not. One thing I would say as well that all of these different diets have in common, they're mainly whole food diets. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever you do, and just try and
Yeah.
stick to more whole foods and less processed stuff. If it comes out of a packet and it's got 20 ingredients,
Mm-hmm.
probably don't want to eat it. My rule is if it grows out of the ground, if it walks on the ground, if it swims in the sea, then I eat it. That's whole foods for me. So I have a variety of different meats, different fish, different fruits, different vegetables, lots of different herbs and spices. I have a very, very broad, balanced diet, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's important. And I'm the same way. I don't follow any specific way of eating. I just eat what feels right. I eat whole foods, and that's really what has always worked for me. I try not to, obviously there's some exceptions where I'll eat some chips or tortilla chips or whatever, but normally I don't eat anything that has like this long of an ingredient list that I don't even know what it is, because I don't
Mm-hmm.
understand most of these ingredients, like cereal or like all this other stuff. So simplicity, that's the biggest thing. Keep it
Yeah,
simple, simple stupid, right? Yeah. And
definitely.
yeah, so that's good. I'm looking forward to hearing more about the app. But right now, the Fasting 101 is available, right? People can download it.
Yeah. So what I
Yeah.
would say is you can head over to there's a ton more stuff on my website now as well. A lot of content I've been writing.
Mhm.
We are going to be making some changes soon. We're implementing some other things. There's things that I want to share, but I can't share at the minute.
It's
But
secret information that I
yeah.
only know of. I don't even know of it. It's very secret, but
You'll find out a little bit more information soon, Monica. But
yeah.
honestly, we've been I'm working with a team of people now. It's not just me, so we've got a team of people working with Fasting 101. We're doing some very exciting things. It's yeah, we're doing some special things, let's say, and in 20 towards the end of the year, you'll find out more if you want to follow along, if you're interested. Head over to fasting101.app. There's tons of information on there on how to get you started with fasting, fit and fasting to fit your lifestyle. There's a link to the app, the existing app, which is completely free. There's over 101 different recipes on there.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, and if you want to reach out to me at the _fasting_coach on Instagram, and yeah, I mean, all my contact details are on the website. Probably head
And
over to the website is best. Yeah,
awesome. And like this is another, while you're working on this app, if people want to put in their 2 cents and say, hey, this would be helpful, I think that would be great. Like, we would love to
definitely.
hear your feedback, because what I think might be helpful for someone fasting, you might think is, it's
I
not.
would I would love people to reach out, and one of the big things around this is what we've been doing a little bit of it, with the branding and stuff. But what we are really going to be doing is focusing on the community, is
Mm-hmm.
building something that works for the community. It's built by the community for the community. One thing that I admit that I got wrong when I rolled out when I done the last app last year is I had this idea in my head. Okay, it's 101 days. And don't get me wrong, it did work for the people who had done it, but again, it wasn't fit and fasting to fit your lifestyle. I did kind of teach about that, but it was more you start at day one, you do a 12-hour fast, day 101, you're fasting for 20 to 24 hours. And I had this plan in my head, and I just went for it. I built it out, I created it. What I should have done is maybe done a 4 week thing, went to my clients, went to the community and said, okay, what did you like? What should we change about this?
Feedback,
And
yeah.
then a lot of feedback. And
Mhm.
and that's one of the big things around this is we want feedback we want suggestions, we want to know what you want, because we want to help. And
Yeah.
for us to be able to do that, we need to create something that,
Because this is for
for
you,
you.
it's not for Jason or for me. It's for people out there, like,
Mm-hmm.
what is it that you need? What support? Like, I don't just do things for myself. I just post for myself. I do it to help others. Like, and I know you're very authentic yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
post to help you share your genuine
I
feedback.
do. I do love to
Yeah,
help. I'm in I'm not going to lie. I'm in a very well paid job. I'm not. It's money. It's not money oriented. Like I do
yeah.
love to help people. And I believe, you know, for me, I want to live a long life. I believe if I help other people live a long life, that is going to come back to me.
Hmm.
Uh, later on in life, and maybe it might just be living longer. I don't know what it is, but certainly. it is 100% genuine. I love, I could talk to you all day about fasting. I
Yeah,
literally
and
could,
I can
and
tell, like
I love it.
I can
Absolutely.
tell,
I love helping people with it.
I can distinguish genuine, authentic, genuine from someone that's just being fake and not being themselves. And I've talked to you so many times, so you are the way you are right now. That's
Mhm.
you. You don't you're just you, Jason.
Just me.
Yeah, just you. You're not pretending to be anyone else. So I do appreciate, like, I've enjoyed like getting to know you and working with you on things like fasting related, because it inspires me, and I love having that community of coaches and friends that are in this, because I always need to brainstorm and
Definitely.
find new things. And hey, what are you doing? How are you doing? What's new? How, yeah. So, but let's start this, like, 111 circle. I'm down. I think that's
Definitely.
a great
I've got
idea.
it. Do you know what it is? I've got a couple of people who's already involved. That there's a documentary on Netflix. I think I can't
Oh
remember what it's
yeah.
called,
Yes.
where specifically people who live in blue zones around the world. So blue zone is where people older than 100 live. Like populations of them. There's quite a few people in these like
Mhm.
in these areas, let's say, and they're called blue zones. And again, what I seen watching that documentary was they had a range of different diet. They ate meat, they ate fish, they ate a lot of vegetables. One thing they did all eat, mainly, was olive oil, good quality olive oil as well.
Mhm.
A lot of fish and stuff, but they lived good lives. They lived stress-free lives. They were very active as well.
Community. Yeah, they have a good community.
Yeah, they did have community. They have a lot of good community as well. So, if you're interested in stuff like that, I'd recommend having a watch of that.
Yeah, it's a
It's
great.
basically what we just me and my group discussed the other week, and they were like, "How long do you want to live for?" And I was like, "111." Like they were like, we're like,
I
I've
love
got some
it.
people who also want to live over 100. Like it's why not?
Yeah,
I would say why not. I think if you put in the work, if you look after your body, you look after your mind, you do all the right things. I think we can live long, not only long but fulfilling lives.
absolutely. Yeah, I don't want to just live to 111. I want to be vital and feel
Hmm.
good and have friends and people around me that I associate with. I don't want to be like the one left in my whole family and be like, but so that's why I love sharing all this with my friends, with my family, because I want to tag them along with me. I want them to be part of this 111 club. I think yeah, it's definitely something. So, what's one advice you would give someone that is struggling with finding the balance with fasting and diet and their lifestyle?
So this is something that I wanted to bring up, and I've called it "Start Again Monday" syndrome.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
SAMS. I'm calling it SAMS. So I said this to my colleague at work. I was like, "Start Again Monday" syndrome, and he was like, "SAMS." I was like, "That's quite good, that SAMS." So "Start Again
Yes.
Monday" syndrome. So what I would say is, and this is one of our values of Fasting 101, by the way, is persistent. So be persistent, and consistency will come.
Mm,
So what I mean by that is, let's say you get 2 days into the week, and then Wednesday you fall off the wagon, let's say, and you have a bad meal. Don't let that bad meal turn into a bad day, and don't let that bad day ruin a bad week.
yeah.
Now, a lot of people do this. They'll get halfway through the week and then they'll fall off the wagon. They'll have something. For me, it was literally a biscuit, and the whole night. This is going back a few years now, but it would be the whole day would go well, be eating well, eat all my meals throughout the day. This is before I ever used to fast, all healthy. And then on the night after the gym, I'd have my dinner. And then, I go and have a biscuit out of the cupboard. And then before you know it, a full packet of biscuit was gone. Biscuits were gone. I was in the fridge. I just went my complete ends. And I'd be like, do you know what it is? I'm going to start again Monday. And I've got a little bit of kind of analogy about this. It's like, let's say you're given £70,000, $70,000, and you lose $10,000 or £10,000 on day one. Are you going to throw the other 60,000 away?
Mm. Yeah,
You're not,
I
yeah,
like that.
you're
Yeah.
not. So have a think about that. Don't let a bad meal turn into a bad day. Don't
Mm.
let a bad day turn into a bad week. And don't let a bad week turn into a bad month.
Yes, that's a great analogy. That's awesome. I love it. I'm gonna have to use that. Yeah.
Feel free.
Yeah. And pounds, I would use thousands, $70,000.
70,000.
You lose 10,000, you're not gonna just throw the rest in the garbage because you already lost 10,000.
You know
Like
that?
there's the week is still young. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
can still make a big difference. Even if part of the day goes bad for you, you have a bad morning, you can still turn it around. So
You can.
yeah.
You
That's a
absolutely can.
that's a great note. I love that. I love it. Thank you for sharing. And as usual, it's always nice chatting with you. We'll be popping up here a lot more often. I think we have a lot of topics that we want to
Yeah, we do.
discuss. And if there's any topics that you guys want to hear from us, and this is kind of like not scripted, we just kind of like candid chat back and forth. And whenever I get like a question from a client, I'm like, oh, let's talk about this. Because
Mm-hmm.
if someone asks a question, that means other people have the same question. And it's nice to kind of elaborate on it a little bit more in detail instead of just giving like just a quick answer. Because when it comes to fasting or lifestyle, there isn't like a quick answer. It's like asking a lot of questions, and sometimes I'm sure this happens to you too, like you get a message from someone, like, oh, I can't lose weight, I've been fasting for a month and I can't lose weight. That doesn't say anything to me. I don't know how you're sleeping. I don't know your age, your hormones, you're female, male.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what else is going in your life? Your stress, all of that stuff matters. It's
It
not
does.
just fasting. So if you need a little bit more help, I mean, I don't know if you're still taking clients on. I'm actually currently not taking any,
No, I'm not.
but
So busy at the minute and
yeah,
decided that just keeping the clients on that we have at the minute. And in the new year, um,
yes,
we
same.
will be. We actually plan to run a challenge at the beginning of January. I can kind of share that part
Awesome. Yeah.
of what's going on, and that's where we'll be, implementing everything that we've been doing currently with clients. But at the minute, just because so busy with the business, busy
Hmm.
with work, busy with existing clients. I don't want to, spread myself too thin. Don't want to, dilute the quality of, the quality of coaching with existing clients. And I feel like I don't want to rush into things, I want to get things right. And then when things are right, we can scale and we can add more people in.
Yeah.
But certainly my inbox is always open, I love talking about this. I love answering questions. And yeah, like you said, when one person asks a question, there's probably 1,000 other people wanting to know the same question.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, don't feel like you can't ask questions. Pop them in the comments on these videos, on this podcast, and you can shoot either one of us a DM on Instagram or
we
wherever.
we are we are both real humans, and I really try to respond to almost pretty much every DM, like with a question or someone reaching out. So feel free. I read all of them. Sometimes I might not be able to respond to all of them, but if there's like a question you want us to talk about, please message either one of us, and we'll make some more of these little series. Jason Monika series. Yes,
Absolutely.
there'll be
Yeah.
more to
I look
come.
forward to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if
Well,
anybody wants to join the 111 group,
yes,
if
yes.
you want to come
111.
in.
I'm joining. Just let us know. Let me know the details. I think that's a great idea. So, thank you for your time, Jason. As usual,
Thank
it's
you.
always a pleasure catching up with you, and we'll be back soon with more exciting stuff.
We will. Thanks for having
Yeah,
us, Monica. Take care.
awesome.